Well, hey, Gundam Maniacs, welcome to the Gundam Explained Show. I'm your host, Adam Blue, and joining me is Steven with Blue Blackbird's hat. Steven? I don't know.
Yeah, I've got to represent
There we
for
go.
Brad Swaley here.
Yeah, that's his hat.
Yeah, that's the Brad Swaley hat.
Yeah.
We were just talking yesterday about all of the different voices that Brad Swaley's done in Gundam, like Katra, Amuro. Who was he in Double O? I forget.
The main guy.
Wait, he was Setsuna?
Isn't that amazing? That's I think
range.
what. Okay, so yeah, exactly. So the voice of Amuro, I never thought, oh, that's just him. He just has this whiny voice. And then you hear Setsuna, and even though you can kind of hear it in there, it's like, wow, that's actually impressive to have. Yeah, I know you said range, but like such a distinct. And here's another. When it comes to Amuro Ray, that English voice acting he does, like I find that to be very distinct. But I wonder if in Japan, Amuro's voice is distinct. You know how sometimes an actor, you're like, oh, I know who that is.
Yeah.
Well,
I think people were talking about that with G-Quux, weren't they? Because was it Toru who did they used an original recording of his voice in G-Quux? Sorry, I know you were just introducing us and saying hey, this is the intro to the show, and I'm like, hey, let's start talking about voice actors.
No,
but no,
actually,
thank you for having me as always.
Well, no, it's funny you bring that up because we're going to talk about that a little more later. But actually, yes. So the introduction, usually I call out yesterday's show on your channel, was badass.
So much fun.
Yeah, I know. It was the second part of the RTS. We've been kind of developing an RTS, or I say we, but watching Steven develop an RTS. But yesterday was so cool because for me, as someone that's a gaming enthusiast, art style is a big deal. And I feel like
100%.
You nailed it, but I think you do it intuitively. Like you went SD, and I'm like, oh, like, and then the pixel, and I was like, whoa, this actually looks intentional. Like it's only going to help the gameplay. So check that out if you guys haven't seen that one.
Yeah, man, there's something to be said about vibe, right? I think we were talking about this, where it's you can talk about gameplay, you can talk about music, you can talk about story and all these things, but then at the end of the day, there's something just like vibe, like aesthetics that I think sells a game.
And sometimes it's the music too. Like if you can have the music, the way it looks, maybe just get a general vibe. Sometimes a vibe is all I need to be locked in, So
100%.
That's cool. Yeah, but no, today we're going to talk about stuff related to Gundam, some stuff not related to Gundam, but a topic I have here that we'll talk is top 5 Gundam characters who were right all along. So keep that in mind. Maybe think in your mind of characters who maybe got the short end of the stick, but they were right. And we'll see. I think you're going to like number 1.
Is it
because I think number 1 is something you've talked about before, if I remember correctly on this list.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, no, exactly. Okay, so just start real quick. I did that again, my anime night. I love that I'm doing this every Sunday. Again, we watched Goji, who was on your stream yesterday, or in the chat.
Yeah. He and I have been meaning to link up and do some work together. So
well, it's funny because I keep telling him when you stream, but I keep forgetting to tell him when this streams. Well, I won't do that right now. But anyway, it was pretty cool because he's a 3D printer guy like you, and you'll appreciate this. He 3D printed me a little. It's kind of hard to see, like a Gundam keychain, like a little black, and it's one of those things where you can like print them all in one, and they're still articulated. So that was a cool little.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah. Something else I got this week, I think I talked about it, but I built it. This is that block cross, that new line, and the build on this was way more. There was way more to it than I thought. I would say there's more to building this than an SD Gundam, I would say. And more you can customize. Obviously, apparently, if you get other armor pieces, you can slap them on.
I was gonna say, don't those come in like other franchises too, right? Like Transformers, like other mecha anime,
right? And so, and they all have weapons, and they do have, and they're already coming off. I need it. The stickers, as much as SD Gundams have stickers, so they share that in common.
They do.
I'll do a full review on it. I don't know. I feel like this is almost cooler than an SD, even though it looks like it. But
How
there's a
dare
bit
you?
there's a bit more articulation and gimmicks with it than the SD. Maybe I don't know. That'll be part of my comparison. But I did have the little review video as I'm still working on the Zaku Police because I guess I'm just not interested in that build. But these little Sharon Amuro action figures I found at the mall, really fun.
Those
They're
guys are pretty cool.
Yeah, you were saying in the comments how they're kind of like the Lego big figures, and that's kind of Playmobil. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that's the brand.
Playmobil. Yeah, that just came to me. So, and here's something else interesting. This isn't Gundam related, but so I bought this real popular in art Batman action figure, 6-inch. Kind of hard to really see. It's probably I would 100% without a doubt. This is the most high end 6-inch action figure. Better than SH Figure Arts, better than
Wow.
Mafex, better. It's crazy. Now look
Now,
at
which
this.
Batman is that? Like
Good question. It's the Dark Knight. One of
Dark
those.
Knight Rises or just Dark Knight?
I
honestly
forget.
don't know
In fact,
Christian Bale Batman.
you Christian. And what's funny about it is I don't care for this Batman. It's just I bought it because it is Batman, but it's also one of the most badass high-end action figures. But it was only $70, which only might sound like a lot, but for what we get nowadays. But check this out. Here is the head sculpt, and this is what is absolutely amazing. I gotta get the light in here, so you can see like how amazing the paint in the
Good.
it looked. I know better than Mafex, better than SH Figure Arts. I mean, I'm gonna look to this company when it comes to making when they're making action figures.
I mean, it would be cool to have like a line of Batmen that were all from the same company in that same line where it's like, okay, you've got the Christian Bale Batman, you've got the Batfleck, you've got Battinson, and that way you have like the comparison of those. I would even go
Well,
further back because I want the Val Kilmer Batman myself. But
you bring up some very good points because I've been buying the brand Fond Joy and Beast Kingdom that come out with Batman figures, but they never come out with the Val Kilmer sonar suit. That is only a McFarlane, which they kind of look cool, but they're not really cool figures to me. And then the
McFarlane statues are really good, but the McFarlane like
right,
figures,
because the articulation, sometimes the articulation, you're just looking at that, like because
exactly.
it has the pins and all that. But I do have it's my only hot toy. It is the sonar suit Val Kilmer Batman.
Heck yeah, man.
I saw that on the Hot Toys website. I'm like, man, this speaks to me from what 1995. I forget when that was, and I was like, man, I need to get this. Just because I also think that as cool as people like that Batman, I think historically, I guess, I feel like it was underrepresented in merch, like the sonar suit or even his normal suit. The Val Kilmer, basically. It's always Michael Keaton,
Yeah,
which is fine. I mean, that's my favorite actually.
fair.
Okay, so yeah, I think that's it with the speaking of McFarlane, I might have already shown this. I did get that Superman, even though I don't really
Oh,
care.
sweet corn.
Yeah, oh, that's pretty good. Even though I don't really care too much about that, I think what this I'm jiving with again, like I've talked about.
Did you go and watch the new Superman?
Not yet.
Okay,
Apparently you
neither have I.
can, but I'm gonna try to do
My
this
brother
weekend.
has like a huge man crush on him, so he's like, "Oh, you gotta go see it. You gotta go see it." And I'm like, I don't
On
really.
the character or the actor?
I guess both.
Oh, okay. For me, this represents like filmmaking at its finest, because it's James Gunn writing, directing, big budget. Like that's what I like about Warner Brothers. I think I've mentioned that before.
Yeah,
And
we talk
so
a lot about like auteurs and like the writer director combo where it's like,
I think
and
that
James Gunn is kind of establishing himself as that, right?
exactly. And you know what? We talk about that a lot. I think because that is kind of that spark that got Gundam where it was. You know what I mean? Or it was
Yeah,
Tomino that was like, this is what it needs to be. When you have that visionary, yeah, it's very, very cool stuff. I think that's it for the stuff I have laying around here. Anything you've gotten into this week, Gundam wise, or anything else
Yeah,
interesting?
I think I've got my sample deck from the Gundam Learn to Play event that happened over the weekend. I took my daughter to that, which was probably not the best idea. Having a
Oh,
2-year-old run around, and it, okay, the card shop was awesome. They were super welcoming of all of us Gundam fans. They actually had a shop dog, which is always nice when you have an
what's
animal that's like
oh yeah,
welcome in the shop. But what I thought was an interesting I say, they had their CGC rated comic books like at waist height on like little shelves like that were like close to the ground. So like the comic book shop I used to shop at was Velocity Comics, and they would have some CGC graded comic books, and they would have them like up along the ceiling so that they were
right.
like, hey, out of the way. But like you're talking about like a 9.8 rated original like Wolfman, and like anybody with a backpack could have been sitting down playing Gundam and just like
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
so I mean, like I said, it's one of the decisions ever made, but I was just so thankful that my daughter was not interested in that. My daughter was
So,
just like, she was zoned in on that dog. She was like, I want to
oh,
pet that dog. And obviously, we're in the South. She's sitting there saying like, can I pet that dog?
oh, the South, and I'm more South than you.
I know, isn't it? Well, I guess
I
I'm
love it.
closer to like Appalachia, which is
Right. Which that's funny you say that because my dad sent me this video of a girl with that sort of accent naming games. I think it was Red Drunk Redemption. It was one of them. I thought that sounded funny. There was some more like Grand Theft Auto Appalachia or something. And I was like, oh, that's pretty good.
I think I know that content creator. Like she's on
Oh,
Instagram.
oh, yeah, it was Instagram. One of the, yeah, okay, that's funny.
That's
Yeah,
funny.
but so did you feel then chill, even though you had your daughter there, like you were able to do what you needed to do, and
Yeah, yeah. I was hoping to get the video out today. It'll probably be out tomorrow. I have like some footage of everything that I did there. I've got I'm going to show off the sample deck in the video, and obviously I'm going to be kind of like walking through the rules of the game because I've seen a lot of like how to play videos, but none of them really spoke to me as much as just actually doing it. So hopefully
right?
maybe me articulating the rules is going to make it a little bit clearer for people who are not quite on board with it. um a sneak preview of the video is like the people at the event were actually not that helpful as far as like helping people play the game.
Oh,
Like it was like me and one other dude were basically kind of coaching everybody like, oh no, you can't use that resource yet, like you need to do
oh,
this.
that's cool, dude.
um
I wish I was hanging out with you there, and then you could help me out.
Man, one day like you
I
and I
know.
just need to hit all these in-person events because I feel like you and I would be like kind of running the show.
Yeah, man, it would be so fun. And real quick, I wanted to shout out because this is a new thing YouTube's doing, and I love it. But in first place, we have Ultronimus.
Always.
I know, right? Except
Always
this
in
morning on Blue Gamer, he had busy things to do. Out of all 365 days, no, I'm joking. And then number 2, we've got our mod, Ian Hansen, Siki Sama himself. And then at number 3, Jamkel X, another regular at Blue Gamer. So that's pretty cool, actually. I like that new thing they're doing.
Yeah,
It
it's
kind
pretty
of helps,
cool.
I think, with the interaction.
Kinda taking a
Anything
page out of
else?
Twitch's book.
Right, that's what it seems like they're doing, which makes me think they're gonna add more stuff.
Yeah. I
But,
will say this, though, like, I know you were dogging on SDs, and I still have this one on my desk. This is the, SD CS Calibarn that my daughter and I built together. I
yeah.
do wanna get you on this SDCS because, obviously, as far as SD kits go, the fact that it has articulated elbows and knees make it, the next level up from a typical SD.
But did I tell you this, that I have the Zeta?
Oh, you bought the Zeta?
Yeah. I did a while ago just so I could put it in Wave Rider mode, and then I just
Which you have
um,
to buy, like, the secondary part, right? Like
yeah, I had to buy 2 things to do it, yeah. Um, yeah, and I think I bought it right after you showed me yours because I saw it in Wave Rider mode, and I was like, "Oh, that's sick."
it's
So
so cool.
but the
Um,
Calibarn looks so good.
Oh yeah, I mean, for those of you who are actually watching, like the Calibarn is pretty sick.
Okay, let me ask you something. Let's say they're designing Witch from Mercury, and they're like, okay, what's going to be the main mobile suit? What if they came, and I feel like this could happen. They make the Calibarn, and they're like, okay, this will be the Ariel, and they're like, you know what? Let's actually reveal that at the end. Let's make a different suit. You know what I mean? Like, I think they did that with like in
With the-
Star Wars and stuff, where they would like design, oh, this is going to be Darth Maul. And they're like, oh, no, we'll use that design for something else, or
yeah,
But does that sound familiar? Or I mean, does that sound logical, or probability of like when they're making a Gundam series, they might have like, okay, this is going to be the Gundam, and then maybe they're like, well, actually, let's introduce this later, or let's maybe design a. What do you think?
I think they kind of did that with Zeta, didn't they? Where like the initial design of the Zeta became the Hyakushiki. Is they were like,
Oh,
this looks awesome. Like it looks like Elgheim. It's a very cool looking mobile suit, but like, director Tomino wants it to transform. This doesn't look like it transforms. So we
oh,
need something that has a little bit more, wings to it. And so it was like, we're not going to scrap that design,
yeah,
but
we'll just use it for something.
it's going to be something different.
That is cool. Behind the scenes info, I don't think I knew, or maybe I heard and forgot, but I like that.
Yeah, the designer Nagano, I want to say, that worked on Elgheim designed the
Oh,
Hyakushiki, and that's why the helmet of the Hyakushiki looks like the Elgheim.
yeah, it's a very distinct kind of look for a
Exactly. It,
Gundam.
it doesn't
Yeah.
look anything. It looks like nothing else in Gundam.
Well,
But I
yeah.
mean, that's one of the things that I love about Witch from Mercury, though, is that like the most heroic looking Gundam in Witch from Mercury is the aerial rebuild, right?
I don't know. I do not like the aerial rebuild
I mean, I don't
at
like it, but like as far as like colors, design, like that
all.
looks like the main Gundam, right?
Let me look at it again real quick, because I feel like I divert my eyes. Is that the term? Every time
Please
I say it.
no.
You know what? It does have a nice silhouette, but there's just something. Again, I have a problem with the Witch for Mercury, like surfaces. They don't
So do I.
look natural machined surfaces.
They're pretty busy, for
It's almost
sure.
like a superhero costume, like the Avengers costumes.
Yeah, that's a good way of
Yeah,
describing it.
yeah.
But
Especially
to
with the way
me,
the
when
blue.
you look at the rebuild, it's like, man, this looks like the main good guy, but then
Actually,
it's like, oh, it's actually not.
let me pull that up for everybody. Yeah, yeah. And you know what? It even, looking at it a little. Oh, there's the other part of that, and I think this is the other thing that I forget, is taking the shield bits off. The way it looks, both the aerial and the rebuild shield bits are not. I think I like the shield bits on
Yeah,
better.
attached to the body. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It kind of gives it more of that machined angular stuff. So okay, yeah, that's cool. And actually, maybe while we're here, well, actually, yeah, we're talking about what you got into, and then Calibar and SD. I
Oh,
don't
yeah,
know how we
yeah.
got to where we
Well,
did,
I
but
was I was telling you that like you need to stop judging SDs so
oh,
harshly.
so here's the thing. It's almost like with Seed, where it's, am I trying to signal to be cool that I don't like it, but really I do. I don't know what it is.
It does
Because
feel that way sometimes.
yeah, like especially when I saw your interpretation of the RTS yesterday with the SD design, I was like, that is great.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on here. Ian Hansen was talking about, I like my robot spirits posed up with the Quiet Zero. That is actually pretty cool. I've seen that setup. Okay, what were
Yeah.
we going to talk
Quiet
about?
Zero is pretty sweet.
What's up?
Quiet Zero is pretty sweet.
Yeah, I feel like I don't give. It's one of those things where, like, in 10 years, we're going to be like doing all this deep dive lore of Witch from Mercury. I don't know. All right, so Comic Con's coming up, and I guess I kind of don't care because I'm jealous I'm not there. But
The hate us
um,
'cause they ain't us.
yeah, Mobile Suit Gundam takes over San Diego Comic Con 2025. So exclusive panel and booth exhibit unveiled for Gundam Wing 30th anniversary, which I got to say, that is a great idea.
Dude, Gundam Info today released both the clean opening and ending in
Oh yeah.
HD which look fantastic. So Just Communication and Just Love on YouTube
Which
on the Gundam Info channel.
I can hear it every time I see the image or the name. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That dance music kicking in and everything. Like, and you know what else is so weird? When we talked yesterday about nostalgia for things that weren't, or I wonder how many times when when Wing was on Cartoon Network, maybe it was on and I was always hearing the intro and then would change the channel. You
Yeah.
because I never watched, I did not care, but I can hear it and then I'm instantly like locked in. It's crazy.
Dude, likewise, that's how I've been feeling like catching up on Double O is
Mm.
as I'm watching the Double O opening credits, I'm like, okay, like this is like early 2000s like I get this is I feel the nostalgia for it even though I didn't watch it at the time.
And that's interesting because sometimes when like a movie or show will come out and then it uses like kind of modern music with it, I'm like, oh, what are they doing here? But and I've always, that's funny. That's a very consistent thing with Japanese media, is picking songs that aren't necessarily sound like it would go with it, but it's more of a sort of a pop way to celebrate. Here's this gun, like even the music, yeah, Witch from Mercury, all this stuff.
G-Quux had like fantastic pop music.
Right, and that's what's interesting. So it's those things where, as much as tonally it doesn't work, it's like in retrospect, it creates a vibe. Here we go again with the vibe
There you go,
thing. So
man.
I again, another way where I'm kind of changing my mind on things because of anime. Well, and here's the other thing that's interesting too, because even when I was younger, speaking of Batman Forever, it's in my head, the U2 song, right?
Yeah.
Like uh,
It's Seal.
there, okay, yes, I know Seal had one. U2 had one also.
Did they?
Seal had the Kiss from Rose on the Brain, and then U2 had the Love Me, Kill Me, Kiss Me,
You're right, yeah.
and then Offspring had Smash It Up. Like that was pretty amazing. And but the thing was, for me, it's like that's not Batman. This is just
Well,
pop
I
music.
mean, Prince doing
Oh, the
song
original
for
Batman.
Joker, like,
That
come
so in
on.
and what's interesting about that is I was so young, I didn't really understand, I think, like, pop, like, because I saw it in the theater and everything, and I didn't really understand. But I guess as I got older, it was interesting how movies would come out with a soundtrack of just
Mhm.
pop music, but then the score. I always bought the scores,
Yeah.
but then I appreciated it when sometimes, like, Blade had a badass soundtrack. Blade and Blade 2,
Yeah.
maybe even Blade Trinity, but I know Blade and Blade 2 had a
I don't
badass
remember Blade
soundtrack.
Trinity as much as far as music goes. It's definitely Blade 1 for me. It's like,
Yes. Oh, Blade 1. Yeah, exactly. Like, and so this goes back to this. It's like what how much of it is I might have not grown up with something, but if I grew up in that time, I can appreciate something that came out during that time.
hmm.
It's very interesting to think that way.
Yeah, definitely.
Because sometimes I feel like, oh no, 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 you had to be there. Well, you might have had to be there, but maybe not exactly there. You could be adjacent and still get the vibes. There's just something about mecha hangar scenes where I almost feel like that's in my DNA. Just a mecha hangar. Like I feel like there's something. Maybe in my past life in the future I was in a mecha hangar. I don't know, but
Your future
it,
past life.
yeah, I know. But it evokes 80s-ness, and I was born in 83, so a lot of things I was probably subconsciously consuming was how technology was being represented in the 80s, and so, like, a mecha hangar, to me, seems that was born in the 80s, right? Even if
Yeah.
they had giant robots in the 70s, I think the mecha hangar is an 80s thing. But,
And the thing, like, likewise, being born in the 80s, I think that us 80s babies have a thing for like tactile technology is like we
yeah,
like things that like click into place. We like mechanical like
knobs and
knobs
yeah,
and buttons and switches and stuff.
I
I feel
carry
like
this
our
little
kids
thing.
love these just squares. They love the glass that they can just tip
Right.
tap. But like, we like cassettes, things that like lock into place and
That's
that
interesting.
hits.
Yeah, think of how long we had to manipulate, pressure and resistance, whereas, kids nowadays are growing up where there's really none of that. It's more of gesturing. It's like
Yeah, it's
very
much more
fascinating.
fluid.
It's very interesting how I love how we get into these topics. But to go back to the nostalgia where this came from is they've got this set up at San Diego Comic-Con that's going to be like a 30th Gundam Wing setup, which again, this is an awesome idea to
Yeah.
represent Gundam. You know, and I wonder if it's because it's Gundam Wing that they're going all out like this, but I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So voice actors are going to be there. And I don't think I know any of them except for Brad Swaley or Swally, who I
Yeah.
met. Love that I got to meet him. But you know what also is cool for him, just thinking back to when I did meet him, I think people would really just go to him for Death Note.
You're right.
So it's really cool that it's almost like he gets to relive a celebrated part of his past by being involved with this Gundam Wing thing at Comic-Con. So I'm happy for them. Like that's really cool.
Yeah, man.
Exclusive shirt. I want to throw it out there. If anyone can get me any exclusive merch, I will, I could pay for it. Or the other thing, I would make videos and shout you out, and just throwing that out there because I'm not going to go to California. Yeah, and then the videos. So
There you go.
and yeah, I've talked about it before, where it's like, yeah, Wing is. What's a good movie I can compare Gundam Wing to? It's really hard. Um, what what's a good action movie that you don't have to think about, but you can watch it over and over? It's like Commando. Commando has those
Yeah,
scenes,
no.
those one-liners. It's cheesy.
I almost feel like Gundam Wing is the Sam Raimi Spider-Man of the Gundam MCU. Is like everyone remembers the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy fondly. We all know like there's the memes and the tropes that
Yeah.
like okay, there was some silly parts like obviously the emo Peter
Yeah.
Parker that was kind of silly. And it's likewise with Wing, there's a lot of silly moments, there's a lot of like campy stuff.
Can't be. Yeah.
And it doesn't fit in with the main timeline. Like obviously Sam Raimi's Spider-Man would not work in Avengers Endgame.
Yeah.
Likewise, Gundam Wing doesn't work in like the grander UC timeline, but it is universally beloved for what it was.
Yeah. And it is so funny when I was getting into Gundam, how like there was that love-hate relationship with Gundam Wing. And I get it, because if you like Universal Century so much, that's not it, but it is its own thing. So yeah.
Yeah.
So what I'm really excited about is the re-release of or I don't know if it's anyway, the Gundam Universe action figures that they've re-engineered the articulation. I'm really looking forward to seeing what that's like. Those figures are either out now or they're about to be, but I
Yeah.
haven't had trouble getting any Gundam Universe figures, so I haven't pre-ordered or anything. Well, do you know anyone going to San Diego Comic-Con?
No.
I don't, except for people that maybe live there. Like Ian is close by. I wonder if he's going to go.
I think looking at chat, I don't even think he's going, and he lives there.
Oh, really? Is that what he's saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? I too would be questioning that just because of the crowds. Like I like being around a lot of people, but that's almost more like it's okay, be prepared to be squished, and then kind of like,
Well, San Diego Comic-Con and New York Comic-Con have become a little bit of a spectacle. Like they're not as inviting as they used to be.
Right. It turns into marketing things.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess at some level they were always marketing, machines, but like to a certain extent, it's like, man, I think what really turned me off the edge was when I went to New York Comic-Con and they had a True Blood panel. And I was like,
oh yeah, I remember you told me that. It's like, why is this here?
what's True Blood doing here? Like,
yeah, that is interesting. Well, it would be cool to see what stuff they get, what stuff gets revealed at Comic-Con.
who we should ask is Kyle, Simply New Type.
Oh yeah, did he show up in chat?
I don't think he's here tonight, but
I'll have to hit him up and wonder, because I bet he's either going to be filming something or doing some cosplay, because he's got so many connections and friends out there.
Exactly.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, if I'll have to ask him if he's going to go by the wing booth because it would be cool to get some pictures. Um, okay,
Gundam
we're
is
gonna
the easiest to cosplay. Like, just get yourself a green tank top and some bike shorts, and
uh the hair just have the wild the hair going on. That would be funny if there was like a crew of us that went dressed up like each character, but almost subtly, where you wouldn't realize at first that everyone's dressed up like a character from Wing. I think you could pull that off.
yeah.
Okay, I found something interesting when I went to the Gundam Kits Collection website, which I use all the time. Gunpla Workspace Contest 2025. Show off your setup for a chance to win. That sounds super fun. From July 8th to August 31st, the contest celebrates creativity, craftsmanship, and clever use of space. Winners across multiple categories will receive great prizes, including God Hand tools, exclusive Osaka Expo 2025 kits, and even cash options for international participants. A special fan favorite winner will also be chosen based on community reactions. Then there's a website. Let me pull it up. I was supposed
So
to
it's
have
like
that up.
it's not enough to have a great Gunpla, you have to have a great desk too.
Right, exactly. It's like, oh, nice Gunpla. We might give you the award. What does your space look like that you build in?
Yeah.
And it's like, wait, that's not a God hand? I don't think you can.
You
No.
you know
Well,
what actually might be the ultimate like meta entry would be to have like a 1/12 scale model of your desk on your desk.
oh, yeah. Dude, there's something there. We got to explore that more. But so with this, they have, okay, contest categories. There's clean and professional workspace, tidy, organized, tool heavy. And there's, I guess, an idea for that. I love the couch with the magazines.
Yeah.
I mean,
Looks like a dentist's office, but like
right. And that person has that little YouTube placard. N Maker is the name. And then we have creative and themed workspace, personalized, decorated, or themed spaces. I can't really tell what's going on here too much, but that's another category. And then compact and clever workspace, which, not gonna lie, I have done this multiple times. Um, Goose sent me early on this little Gunpla building tray, and
yeah.
it comes in handy because I just open it, sit down, plop the manual, and then just build in it. It's very efficient.
Yeah.
So, okay, and some surprises, God Hand, and some of the cheapest of the Gundams you can get right now that I even ordered from Japan because they were so cheap to order. But
The cheapest stuff. And then
yeah,
of course if you're international, you get the cash prizes, right?
um, what did they say about that?
Or you get 10,000 yen. It's
Oh,
just underneath the
oh, okay. Interesting. Well, okay, I want to ask you, what would you consider your space in these categories?
probably the most disorganized and toxic because there is so much resin dust and 3D print fumes and like this whole area is basically like a
It's
carcinogen.
real.
It's a solid
Oh,
like it's
shit.
just a block of cancerous materials here.
Well,
What about
I
you?
I believe though that that has to be a category somehow, like the most worked, the real tinkerer space.
There you go.
Mine, it would not fit any of these categories. I would consider my space the creator space just because the way I have everything set up is purposely that I can shoot something, go live. I have this camera lifts up, comes toward, and then I have a camera next to it to turn on for when I'm doing my reviews. So like, and then I have, because this is a big desk
So
under my,
basically, like your cameras have like an NTD mode where, like, when you're ready to film something
yeah,
Gunpla, it's like,
exact. And there's even lights. It's crazy. But under my desk, I have a whole like I don't know, cabinet or something underneath that's just all the Gunpla supplies. So
go.
it's like it's almost like a transforming space because it doesn't look like what any of these. But you know what? I might just enter just to enter. It's one of those things where though when you enter, there's some light reflecting.
Hmm.
Ignore it. It's like a weird spot. Anyway, um, I wonder if it's a thing where you enter and you have to pick your category because I don't think my space represents any of these categories. or any of these
I
categories for
mean, like, I would call your space tidy, but, like, the difference is I think that your space is much more geared toward presentation. It's not, you know
right.
yeah, I struggle to know where I'm going with this, where it's like it's not optimized for, like, particular building or painting or anything. It's optimized for showing off the work.
Right. It's where I can hide everything quickly. So it's like, okay, I'm gonna work on a build and then I could pull the stuff out. Oh, I'm gonna work on a video. Oh, I can pull that stuff out. So if you were to look at my space, you probably wouldn't see tools or anything. But I might try to submit because I just think that's a neat idea. In fact, I'm even thinking in the Gundam Explain Discord, I might be like, guys, let's all start posting up the pics of our desks
Yeah,
because we could get so many good ideas. I know back in the day, when having your remote PC setup, like I would look up what other people are doing, like how can I improve my setup, but I finally got there. So, um, um, do you see yourself entering something like this?
I mean, I could. I feel like now that I have this dedicated space where it's like here's the streaming space and the Gunpla space is over here, I do have, like, a much more designated area. And like it's like this is geared towards content creation where I can say, like, you know, Alexa, set desk lights to blue, and the
Whoa,
lights change color. We do that kind of stuff here.
that is cool. I've, you know what? You should make a video of just up for your channel at least.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, the desk is one thing, but the end result is like trying to get these microchips so that I can say, the A word and be like permit score 8, and
Oh, okay. So you're waiting until you get that all set
that's
up.
going to be the yeah.
Ah, I love that idea to say, blah blah blah, permit score 8, and yeah, I didn't want to say the name.
Yeah, you got to be
And
careful cuz she's listening.
yeah, the name we shall not name. Okay, moving on. What is this link? I don't remember what I clicked on. Okay. Mobile Suit Gundam Extreme Versus 2 Infinite Boost Super Ultra Special Extra Edition. Nah, I don't know.
Championship Turbo.
Yeah. So I didn't know, I guess there was a new one coming out and it's on the 17th. Luckily, if you live in Japan, you get to play it.
Yeah.
Um, it has a cool poster. I think I
The
really like.
logo so cool. Like I
Yeah,
love
I
the
really,
infinity sign in the boost. Yeah.
yeah, I'm really digging this art style because I don't think I typically see Gundam in this art style right here, and it's
True.
very cool. So brand new playable mobile suits, including the Mighty Strike Freedom, so that's cool.
Naturally.
Light type controls, perfect for newcomers. That is the same thing Street Fighter 6 did,
Yeah.
which this could be a good thing. But if their plan is to make it that mainstream, I wonder if we're gonna eventually start seeing this stuff released on home console, just because the idea is they make so much money with these machines in Japan. There's no reason to,
Yeah.
and because of the way Japan works in their culture, they are fine if they are just man. This light. Hold on one second. I think I can easily
You
fix
look
this.
like Morticia Adams.
Yeah, right. Like in those movies where they do the.
This-
No, it's not gonna happen. It's too much. It's gone too far. Okay, I think kind of I'll be like this, but no. Oh, so many thoughts going through my mind because I love it in movies when they do that, where they have it where for some reason, and I think they did that in The Force Awakens, but it was bad to make hot anyway. So anyway, back to this. Do you see them releasing? Because wasn't there another one after the Maxi Boost that was on PlayStation? There was another one in arcades that didn't get released here, and now there's this.
Yeah,
Right.
the Extreme Versus series and New Type Seiji is probably the best source on that because he's
Yeah.
really deep into the Versus series. But like, it seems like they have an entry every 2-3 years. It feels like,
Yeah.
um,
And so I
and
just don't.
they just never get a Western release.
Yeah,
let
but
alone a console release. Like you said, they tend to stick to the arcade.
which is cool because I really wish that existed here. I think it's very interesting. Japan being the size it is really allows it to have its. This is what allows it to have its unique culture. And and
Yeah,
and
things like the
I
gachapon machines. Like,
yeah,
it's something that just Americans can't comprehend. Like,
right. And the other thing too is, oh, that looks cool with that Mighty Strike and the Banshee. See, you don't figure you'd see something like that, but um, and I totally forgot what I was gonna say. So it doesn't matter. Anyway, um, yeah, I guess what I was so there's this place called Round One that's at Grapevine Mills. Grapevine Mills is almost being taken over by Japan. This is this mall near me. They have the Gashapon store, they have the Miso store, whatever it's called, that I was able to, or Miniso. Yeah, I was able to get these and other stuff. And yeah, they have the Gashapon store, that store, and they have Round One, which has a Godzilla VR game. It has a Castlevania, but it's not a game, it's a slot machine. Yeah.
like a pachinko type deal.
Yeah. But they have like Tokyo Extreme Racer, for instance, or whatever Initial D, yeah. So I feel like there's potential for them to maybe get a couple.
A
I
couple
don't
of
know.
those machines there. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, I hope so.
there's a barcade in town like near me that, yeah, but it's mostly like retro games, your old like House of the Dead, that type of stuff. So
Oh
we don't
yeah,
have as much of a Japanese influence here as I think you've got.
yeah,
Our
and I
our
think it's
shopping malls tend to be a little bit different culturally.
well, I think it's because the Grapevine Mills is right next to the DFW airport, and this area is such a melting pot, like so
Yeah.
many different people. Um, yeah, okay. Was that it for that? Yes, I think so. Okay, we're gonna move on. Top 5 Gundam characters who were right all along. So, which Gundam character do you think history has proven right? Let's count down some of the most controversial figures. You might have had a point after all. So, this first one, Zhert Galette.
Yeah.
Don't know him, but Gundam Age, which is on Tubi, right?
It is currently, yeah.
So it's like maybe I should watch it because then I looked up this dude. He's straight up a Char clone.
Yeah. I have a feeling that this entire list is going to be Char clones, isn't it?
Maybe I think you're gonna like number one.
Okay,
I
cool.
think you're gonna like if I've been following you correctly. This is
Okay.
like when your spouse is listening.
Yeah.
Anyway, this Z Heart Galette or whatever. The Earth Federation was corrupt. This is the claim. The Earth Federation was corrupt, technologically stagnant, and no longer fit to guide humanity. So why he was right? He was fighting to break the status quo and push humanity into a new stage of evolution and exploration. Sounds like everything else.
It's always
The
the
tragic.
revolutionaries.
Yep. Despite valid concerns, he was manipulated by the Vegan leadership, leading to unnecessary bloodshed. The takeaway being a misguided revolutionary, but his critique of Earth's apathy wasn't wrong. So, okay, here we
Fair.
go. Trej Kushanada. The
Yep.
claim: true peace can only be achieved when people understand the cost of war through personal suffering.
100%.
Why he was right. The people became complacent under pacifism. His engineered wars exposed the flaws in the system and ultimately laid the groundwork for lasting peace, which is a very, actually, pretty compelling villain arc story.
Yeah.
His tragedy, or the tragedy, is his ideals were co-opted by others, Romfeller, White Fang, forcing him into conflict with his own creation,
Mm.
which is interesting, thinking about how that stuff folded out. That's actually pretty interesting storytelling.
Yeah.
So the takeaway: a war philosopher who saw pacifism without accountability as dangerous. So what would you say? Is that pretty spot on? You
Yeah,
think
I
he's a
mean,
good number 4?
without getting too political, like, isn't that something that we experience now, where people, like, especially now that like drone strikes have become such a popular thing, like, as soon as you remove the responsibility of taking human life from humans, all of a sudden it's
Yeah.
like, oh, this is just part of the machine. Like, this is stonks go up. Like, it's
That's a pretty good way I never really thought about it that way in relation to what's being said here. That's pretty good. That could be a video.
It could be.
Um, okay. Oh, Jim Killix is saying I have a mall here in mid Ohio that has Gashapon Court and a Japanese prize arcade full of cream machines and such.
That's so cool,
I
man.
wonder if it is that Round One, because that's the place is called Round One, and it has tons of Gashapon machines, food court, arcade, bowling, all that stuff. Hey, Santo Bell, good to see you. Glad you could join us. So let's move on. Number 3, Raul Creuset. I don't think I've ever said his name out loud. The claim humanity is doomed to repeat war due to its own flaws. Even coordinators couldn't escape it. Why he was right. Despite being a villain, the world of Seed confirmed his view: constant conflict, manipulation, and racial hatred. The tragedy, his belief turned nihilistic, leading to his attempt to wipe everyone out. Takeaway: his diagnosis was right. His perception was annihilation. Which, again, there's a running theme here, and you were saying, are these all Shark? Where it's almost like what Marvel is always trying to do, but Gundam has already done it, where the villain actually has a point. It's how they go about it that makes them the villain.
Exactly. Well, the thing about Rao, though, is like he kind of had a personal stake in it, right? Being
The clone or
himself is
yeah.
like, so he had like
Its identity.
It's not the same as someone like Trey's or Zahart, where like they weren't personally afflicted by the thing. They have much more of a detached philosopher's approach to it. Rao has a much more emotional connection to why he's angry about these things.
That's a really good point, because I almost feel like that's an interesting concept. Like if you found out you were a clone, that would almost would that almost give you an inherent meaning you didn't think you had?
That's the plot to Blade Runner, isn't it?
I guess because because they could be humans, even though they were made, they're feeling okay. Then we have, that's
Because like
interesting.
that's the whole tragedy of the villain in Blade Runner. Is it's like
Rutger Hauer, great actor. Yeah, no, that's a good point actually. Even though one's an android, one's a clone, technically they're engineered people.
Mm-hmm.
I like it, dude. You're coming up with some good info for this stuff. Okay, here we go. Number 2. So if this is number 2, Shar Aznavour, what is number 1?
He didn't make number 1. That's
who do you think number 1 is? I think you're gonna like number 1.
I'm excited.
Okay, Shar Aznavour, the claim Earth, and I don't want to scroll down too far. I don't want to
You don't want to accidentally
reveal. Okay, the claim Earth must be abandoned for humanity to evolve, and the Earth Federation must be dismantled. He was right from why he was right. From the 1-year war to Shar's counterattack, the Earth Federation continuously failed its people and the environment. Because it's like, even though you could look at the Federation as the good guys, even Londo Bell, things like that, it's anytime the Federation had a leg up, they were still just kind of effing around. You know what I mean? It's almost, so, and I feel like that's kind of what happens in the real world too. But
I mean, Amuro says it so perfectly in Shar's counterattack, where he's like, Shar got a chance to see what the inner workings of the Federation look like, to the point where now he actually hates them.
Yeah,
it's like before he was always their enemy, and it's like, okay, I hate them because they're my enemy. But then once he joined the AUG and he understood just how corrupt the Federation was, he was like,
yeah, we're wiping.
I was right.
Yeah. So the tragedy, his final plan, Axis Drop, abandoned reform for force, and he lost to Amuro again. So that is interesting that
rude.
It's just interesting that he goes so far, but it's just cool that Amuro stops him.
Yeah.
You think about that. Oh, you're going to drop the fact that a villain has the ability to drop an asteroid on Earth, and then you have Amuro go, nope. Like I feel like that's lost because there's such a big deal of everyone joining together to push the asteroid. No one, and then Shar's in his cockpit ball or whatever, escape pod. What's going on? Did they, you know what I mean? And you're not really thinking, wait a minute, that was pretty epic of a end fight scene,
It really was.
Like if it was done in live action, that would be insane.
Whoa. Now you're You're talking crazy.
I am talking. You know what? Well, it's kind of funny because my disinterest in Char's counterattack is so much that I've never thought about it in live action, and in fact, live action would be amazing for it because of its pace.
Do you think that a Gundam movie trilogy should be the 1 Year War, like the Gundam movie trilogy that we got, or do you think that a Gundam movie trilogy should be 1 Year War, Zeta, and then Char's counterattack?
Oh my god, what a question! Because here's what I think. Here's what I think. I think they should make a Gundam movie trilogy, but I think they should make a Zeta TV show.
Okay, so Zeta's on Disney Plus.
I just think after oh man, the one thing is, so I guess
There's
we haven't
so
really
much
talked.
stuff you have to cut, right? Like,
Yeah, exactly. And I think the one main thing you do is you kind of downplay Matilda's arc because I feel like that is kind of abrupt in the movies compared to, you know. All
sure.
right. So, okay, takeaway. He saw the rot, but lost sight of his own ideals in his obsession with defeating Amuro and earthbound thinking. So,
Again, he got his emotions in it. He was up in his
yeah.
feelings, as these kids say.
So, I'm glad you brought up that thing about how Shard then saw the inner workings and that sort of heightened his emotional reaction. Because that is more compelling arc, but I still there's this thing where I like Double Zeta a lot and wish he had a story in there. Like maybe we can take things out of UC Engage and just kind of throw it into Double Zeta, you know?
I'd like that.
Okay. Number one, do you want to guess?
Prospera Mercury?
That's not it, but that's actually pretty good. I think,
I don't know.
Shadiq Zanelli. That's pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. The claim the entire Bennett group system was exploitative and had to be dismantled by any means. Why he was right, corporate warfare, oppression of Earthians, and manipulation of children were all institutionalized. The tragedy, his tactics involved assassinations, proxy wars, and child soldiers, echoing the very system he hated. Takeaways. His cause was just, but his methods corrupted it. Right? Because
Yeah.
there's this, he is an interesting character because he seems compelling, but bad, but good, but bad, but good, but bad.
But also bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is one of the most compelling characters on that show for sure. Like
Yeah.
I know a lot of people crush on Guel and they're like, oh, he should have been the main character, but it's like to me, Shadiq is such a fascinating he's like the Count of Monte Cristo, you know? It's like
Yeah. The way in the past like a couple months you've been explaining it to me. That's what when I got to number one, I was like, oh yeah, isn't that pretty good? That
I
number
love
one.
it.
Okay. Bonus shout outs, Giran Zabi. Evil but strategically effective. I like how there's a question mark. It's like he's evil, but he's strategically effective. Okay, McGillis ferried. I don't know too much, but was Gallahorn really beyond reform? So,
Yeah, you know, I kind of agree with McGillis, honestly. I'm like, you know, he's not a bad guy as
okay.
far as like all of the villains in
In most
IBO.
of
So
an IBO. Okay, yeah, I still have to finish that. But wait a minute. How many episodes of Double O are you doing a day or a week, or how are you doing that?
It varies, probably between 2 and 4 per day.
Okay, then I'm gonna try to keep up with IBO because
Deal.
I'm on 9 and I've been needing to finish it. So okay, all right. And then Shin Asuka, right to question the hypocrisy of Orb. Dude, I
100%.
think Shin is right all the time.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
They should have just they should have stuck the landing with Kira being the bad guy in Destiny. They totally killed that series by like
oh wait, explain that again.
like instead of Kira being the hero of the show, like keeping Shin as the protagonist and like Kira being misguided and becoming the villain of the show. Like I think that was such a brilliant twist.
In fact, when I think of Seed and what I like and don't like, I'm always thinking of what I like, and that's the Destiny Shin stuff. Like, I love that stuff.
Same.
Well, cool. So yeah, I thought that was pretty neat.
Was there anyone missing that you thought like belonged on this list?
No, you know what? It was funny because there's times where I was trying to think of some characters, and I would then think, no, they were bad, like Rekawa. I think about that a lot because I thought that was and that's what's Tomino's so good about the writing.
Yeah.
From the start, compelling idea. Oh, a spy, in the way, but she's with the AUG. So that means that she doesn't necessarily have an alliance, so to speak. So that almost made her open for being. So I really like how her character turned out, even though. So it's like she was wrong, I guess.
Yeah.
So I kept thinking of these characters where I'm like, oh no, their actions and what they thought they were doing put them in the wrong. Quest is a big one.
Yeah, Quest is a good one too. I do feel bad for Quest. I think that she gets
Right.
unfairly hated.
Okay, yeah, because I think the reason she's annoying has to do with her being a new type.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
even Char says that. It's like, that's why I find her annoying. Like,
yeah, and I think that's, again, another thing I like about anime writing, or maybe Tomino writing, is purposely writing characters to reflect the emotional experience that the writer wants you to have.
exactly.
And yeah, I really like that. But I don't know, any other characters on this that were right? Because I feel like it nailed. I mean, just Shin on there, and what was the other one that I?
What, Z-Heart?
Trey's was one.
Oh, yeah, Trey's 100%.
Because that's one thing I remember from Wing, where there was this thing of like bad guy, but good guy. Good guy. Oh, he's gonna do that. Oh, and then bad guy.
I always think of that line from Wreck-It Ralph where Zangief is like, just because you are a bad guy doesn't mean you are a bad guy.
Oh, that's good. I forgot about that movie, and that really spoke to me because it was just video game references the whole time. I loved it.
But yeah, man, dude, what about Animal Gato?
Well, I don't know.
Deals.
That, but it's interesting to think. So let's break that down with Annabelle Gato. Like, him stealing a nuclear Gundam is almost like a good thing because the idea is to not allow an enemy to have a nuke.
And he's like exposing the hypocrisy of Federation, right?
And then for him to use it, it's not like he's being hypocritical. He's like, here's your weapon.
I'm giving it back to you.
I would love it if he said it with the way you did. We was just in his cockpit and he's like, I'm giving it back to you.
Return shipping not included.
But interesting though to think about it, because I feel like he's just a good character. But yeah, would you call Annabelle Gato a bad guy?
I think he very much gets manipulated by the situation with like Delaz and with Seema, like.
But would Amuro steal a nuke from Zeon and then send it back to them? That's the thing. He wouldn't. He would be like, guys, get out of here. I'm going to have to throw this nuke at one of you. Don't. No. Okay.
Like that Batman scene, like throwing the bomb.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was great. It actually reminded me, too, of the beginning of Seed, the thing that reminded me why I didn't like Seed is that first episode. Kira's like, oh no, I shot through the colony again. Oh no, everyone's dying because of me. Like, it was almost too much.
Yeah.
But no. Anyway, no, that was a good episode. It's fun going through that top 5.
Great exercise. I love that.
Yeah. And that reminds me, like, if anyone out there comes up with, hey, I'm curious what a top 5 or top 10 of this concept, throw it out to me because I'd love to do the research and put that together and go over it. The other thing I like about when doing this is it's almost like refresher on parts of lore, I'm not really thinking about. And because we're comparing different villains' motivations, that helps when later recalling some of that stuff. Oh, that reminds me. I don't think we can do it, though. But I will tell you guys, in the Gundam Discord under Gundam Lore, I have this video from Mega 64. Dang it. Do you have time?
Oh, yeah.
because I want to share this with everybody. I'm gonna actually we're gonna watch it. It's short. Let me gun more discussion. Okay, where's that video? Right here. Okay, let me pause. Beginning change the screen share. No, wrong. Oh, God. One. Okay, screen share. I even went to Blue Gamer accidentally. Okay. Let me see if the audio. You know what? I don't know if I can get the audio to work. Actually, I can, but you won't be able to talk, Steve.
Okay, I will.
Hey, Derek, have you noticed something wrong with...
Sorry, by the way, can you hear this?
I can't, but
how can I make you hear it? Because I'm sharing it with you in
Video Ninja, yeah.
Let's see. We're at the end of the show. That's why I'm doing things all sloppy.
This is more like bonus content. This is your DLC.
Yeah, this is the DLC, but you really can't hear what I'm sharing you?
I can't currently.
Let me send this to you so you can watch it at the same time.
Deal.
On your end. I just want everyone to hear this because it is absolutely hilarious, and I feel like I just jive with it on so many levels. Tell me when you've got it, and then I'll go ahead and do it. Is it loading up?
Yeah, got it.
Hey, Derek, have you noticed something wrong with Rocco lately? I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, it seems like I've noticed a change in him. Like he's been upset about something. Yeah, he does seem upset.
Hey man, I think we need to talk. It seems like you're not your usual self. Is there something you want to talk about?
How can Cranky Kong exist in the same timeline as Kid Pauline? It makes no sense!
Do you find yourself in situations like this with your Nintendo fan? Are the changes in Nintendo lore causing rifts in your household?
Cranky Kong is supposed to be an elderly version of the original Donkey Kong. Who do you rescue in the original Donkey Kong? Pauline, a grown woman. So why is she a child and he's still an elderly man or ape?
Now you can call us, the Nintendo Lore Coping Hotline. Our trained professionals are standing by 24/7 to help you cope with your Nintendo lore crisis.
Okay, Brandon, stay calm. Just tell me what's going on. I'm here to talk to you.
Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are supposed to be at the end of the Zelda timeline. But then in Japan, they did a Zelda Symphony concert where they showed it on a mural as a totally separate timeline. That doesn't make any sense.
We know it's hard to get through the day while struggling to make sense of the ever-changing backstories of your favorite Nintendo characters. You're not alone. Our video game therapists are here to help. We are qualified to handle any situation.
They say Mario was a plumber who lived in the city that fell down a pipe into the Mushroom Kingdom. But in Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island, he's already in the Mushroom Kingdom as a baby. The timelines don't match up. It makes no sense.
Maybe he was born in the Mushroom Kingdom and then moved to New Donk City with his parents as a kid, grew up to become a plumber, and then went back to the Mushroom Kingdom as an adult.
That makes a lot of sense.
Suspect has exited the building!
In New Donk City, they act like he's a citizen who's been there for a long time.
And for those of you who are especially hung up on things like inconsistencies in the Donkey Kong lore, we have an expert on call who has cracked the code on a grand unifying theory that explains all the Donkey Kong games.
He likes bananas, he needs bananas.
So call us, the Nintendo Lore Coping Hotline. Our agents are ready to take your call. And remember, the one thing that we will never say is, it's just a game. Why do you care so much? It's really not that important. Jesus.
Oh man, it's so good.
Oh, yeah, I know. Anyway, so when I watched that, because I like Mega 64 stuff, okay, where's my thing so I don't mess up?
Dude, the Bob Hoskins, John Leguizamo Mario Brothers t-shirt.
Oh, I didn't realize he was wearing that. I just that it's, and I'm not doing this like to make fun of a specific, like I think sometimes I feel that too, like especially Zelda stuff, like especially after Ocarina of Time, and then they started coming out new games. I was like, oh, what's the timeline? But I think about this with Gundam a lot, where it's like, let's not care, or let's not fight about. Like, I love how like they cut right after he puts the gun in his mouth, like he can't handle it. Like that's sometimes how extreme it gets.
Yeah, well, and we've talked about this before, where it's like, coming from an oral tradition where you would hear the same story told different ways. Like, yeah, canon things just don't have the same level of concrete in Japan as they do in the United States.
Yeah, they treat it as mythology. There's more mythology is kind of just ingrained in storytelling. So, because in America we don't have that much mythology.
It's written. We come from a written culture as opposed to an oral one. So it's like things have to be concrete in black and white. This is how it's.
What's interesting about that is, Goji Effects Unlimited. Nice. Yeah, we're about to get off, but it's cool that you check this out. But because I meant to send you the link, and then we were doing a stream, and I was like, anyway.
You blew it.
I know, right? But no, the same thing. I was speaking with someone from Nepal, and because the food, like he talks about how he cooks, it's easy, all this stuff, everything is super healthy. And he says it's just hard in America because America doesn't have a history of like perfecting healthy food. It's all about abundance of how can we make a bunch of food.
Yeah, and efficiency.
Yeah, so there's not any real, it's like there's a loss of culture of food. And so that's very interesting. Anyway, guys, I'm glad we did that little bonus, and I had to show you guys that because I thought it was hilarious. Totally
Who do you
hilarious.
think's worse, Nintendo lore fans or Gundam lore fans?
You know what? That's a good question, because I would say being into video games my whole life, but then just recently, getting into Gundam, it's Gundam lore fans. Even though, like, I get it with Nintendo, and like I've been there the whole way. Just when people, and I think Nintendo people do this too, but with Gundam, it's like people will spend days going back and forth with someone on the same, like, someone's shirt was blue here, but it was green there. Or I don't know. I'm just making something up.
Yeah.
But anyway, this was a lot of fun. We'll be back next week with some more, but also check out Midnight Hatter's show from yesterday. That was a lot of fun doing some video game dev. So until next time, all be cool.